got The Eternals on Disney Plus, and I think I agree with the majority of people when they say it's not a bad film, it just should have been a series. So why wasn't it a series? Stay tuned. Hey, it is me, Ginger, and I just saw The Eternals on Disney Plus, and that is interesting in itself because it is only the second Marvel movie that I haven't actually gone to the cinema to see. And the first one that I didn't go to the cinema to see was Black Widow, and Scarlett Johansson, I owe you $20. I'm sorry I didn't take the kids to go to the movie theatre and see it. It was the middle of the pandemic, that's the reason. But The Eternals, it was a different story. It just didn't grab me. And I had no interest in seeing it in cinemas. And I think that's really, really interesting. I did see it, and I think it's really, really interesting that it was the first Marvel movie I've ever seen that I didn't enjoy. I appreciated it, but it's the first Marvel movie that I didn't enjoy. I mean, Marvel movies aren't all perfect, and up until this point, I'd say the only one I think could have been done significantly better was Captain Marvel. But I still enjoyed it a lot. I really, really liked it a lot. But The Eternals just didn't do it for me. And I think one of the reasons was something that a lot of people have been saying on the internet, and that is, why was this a movie in the first place? I mean, The Eternals, just on paper, you know it's not going to be a good movie. It should have been a series. Why? Because The Eternals are a group of characters that Marvel owns. There are 10 of them. There are 10 of them. And you're meant to justify and give attention to, for at least a little while, 10 characters over the course of a 2-hour movie. I mean, that's ridiculous. The first thing you know about storytelling is you can have 6 main characters. I mean, that's it. In any storytelling format, you can have a maximum of 6 characters. And The Eternals, you've got 10 before you even introduce a love interest and a bad guy and other characters and stuff like that. So right from the very beginning, I can understand why people were like, why isn't this a series? You've got the Disney Plus channel. You've got all these amazing series. You've got things like Hawkeye. Hawkeye could have been a movie rather than a series. I should think that might have worked. But The Eternals, you know, you've got the perfect place to put it. Why wasn't it a series? Well, I think there's a very significant reason for that. And it's because Marvel are reaching a new stage of their storytelling. What is it? Phase 4, I think they're calling it, or Phase 5. And you got a new Captain America, and you have the Guardians of the Galaxy roaming around. Thor is no longer the king of Asgard. You've got all of these different things that have permanently changed what the Marvel universe is like. And I think The Eternals was a decision by Marvel to introduce a whole ton of lore and a whole ton of characters all at once that Marvel fans will need to be aware of and cognizant of. And the problem with making a series out of that is that not everybody has Disney Plus and not everybody watches Disney Plus religiously. Whereas most people who go to the cinema on a regular basis will probably go and see every single Marvel movie. So I think the decision, the thing that screwed The Eternals right from the get-go, was a decision by Disney to be like, we need to put this in the movie theatres rather than on Disney Plus, because that way more people will see it. And yeah, I don't think that was a smart decision at all. And it's funny because, yeah, as I said, it was the first Marvel movie that I really didn't enjoy. And I feel bad for saying that, because I make a concerted effort never to talk about things I don't enjoy. I love making YouTube videos because normally I find some thing that got created and I talk about how cool it was, and I love it. I get to be so enthusiastic. But the thing was, with the Eternals was, even though I didn't enjoy it, it most certainly wasn't bad. And I mean, I don't like to call anything bad, especially not when you're talking about a movie like The Eternals. I mean, you've got a cast of incredible actors on it. You've got all of the hundreds and hundreds of people involved in turning what they film into life. I mean, it is an incredible achievement. And to watch it, it's like beautiful. It's an incredibly, amazingly visual movie. I mean, the ending scene, I won't give anything away, but it's visually so impactful. So it's an incredible achievement. Why didn't it work though? Well, I think we've already talked about why it didn't work, and I think it's time we talk about the difficult choices that must be made to put it on the screen in any event. I think it's a real pity that the Eternals didn't work the way it should, because Marvel are doing some really interesting and really exciting things, and the director, the writer and director, or co-writer and director of the Eternals is this incredibly talented woman called Chloe Zhao. I think it's pronounced Zhao, and she's Chinese, but she's been living in America for a while, and the Eternals was her 6th movie. The 6th movie she'd written as well, and I know she didn't write the entire script, but she has been given a writing credit for the script of the Eternals. And what I find really, really interesting is I can understand why they picked Chloe Zhao. I mean, she's an incredibly, incredibly talented writer and director. In fact, in February of 2021, Variety actually had an article about her, and they said with 34 awards for directing, 13 for screenplay writing, and 9 for editing, in that particular point in time, in 2021, Chloe Zhao surpassed Alexander Payne as the most awarded person in a single award season in the modern era. I mean, yeah, you might not have enjoyed the Eternals, but you can't really say that it wasn't because they didn't have an incredibly talented director on board. So what went wrong? Well, I think the thing that went wrong is, if you look at Chloe Zhao and the wonderful work she's done, she is a director who is brilliant at human interaction and intimacy. And so the two films that made me think of that is there's Songs My Brothers Taught Me, which was a movie that she shot at the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. And it's all about two Native Americans, the Lakota Sioux. It's his brother and his younger sister, and the relationship they have. And it's an incredibly intimate movie. I mean, it's amazing because it shines a light on, you know, a life and a people, even here in America, that you might never normally have seen that from. And that's one of the things that she does that's brilliant. The next movie that she did was The Rider, which was a contemporary Western. Can you imagine this tiny little girl from China coming to America and redefining the modern Western? I think that's incredible. And that's all about a young cowboy's journey of self-discovery after a near-fatal accident, which ends his professional riding career. And again, that is an incredibly intimate story. And it's a really unusual story, and it's told in such an unusual way. Frances McDormand was in a movie that Chloe Zhao did called Nomadland, and she told the Rolling Stone that Zhao's process is, she's basically like a journalist. She gets to know your story, and she creates a character from that. And she draws a razor-sharp line between sentiment and sentimentality. I don't even know what that means. But I think that is kind of an interesting thing when you think about it. The Eternals is such a huge story. It's about 10 immortal creatures living on Earth for thousands of years and witnessing everything. It is an epic tale. And then they got a director who's specifically known for really, really, really intimate storytelling. And I think you got to kind of disconnect right there from the beginning. But I can understand why they did it. Because I think what they wanted to do is they wanted to have a movie in which the characters of the Eternals were given the opportunity to be real characters and interact and tell the story as if they had been on Earth for 10,000 years and what that might have meant. And I can see with all the flashbacks and stuff that Chloe Zhao really tried to do that, and there are certain scenes with that really, really work, which would have been great in a series. Can you imagine if you'd had, I don't know, 6 episodes like Hawkeye, or 10 episodes, one for each of the Eternals? That would have been amazing. Or you could have had 6 episodes, where, you know, for 5 episodes you have a story about one Eternal and the side story about another Eternal. So you introduce all of them, and the 6th episode is like the climax. It would have worked so well. And it would have been such an opportunity for Chloe Zhao to tell the story in the way that works best for her. But I do think that Marvel were just like, no, we need to get this all one and done. People see it, then they know what's going on moving forward. So I think it's a real wasted opportunity. Because in the movie format, it just doesn't work. And what is the major reason for it not working? I'll tell you why. I mean, let's look at the cast of the Eternals, okay? We've got Icarus, we've got this chick, we've got Tomb Raider, we've got the guy from Game of Thrones, we've got Tinkerbell, we've got Credence Barebones, I think he is, we've got The Flash, we've got Juiced Up Wong, we've got Selma Hayek, who is just Selma Hayek. Oh, she was very good as Frida. IKEA guy, and finally you have Kingo. Oh, Kingo was brilliant. I did like Kingo. If I was directing this movie, it would have been far, far worse, because I don't know anything about directing, but I would have opened it with that scene with Kingo's like private jet flying through the sky, and then him doing his selfie cam, being like, hey, I'm Kingo. I mean, wouldn't that have been a Guardians of the Galaxy type introduction to it, where you meet the Eternals on a private plane in the modern age, and Kingo's like, yeah, I'm Kingo, I can shoot stuff from my fingers, and this is my mate Cersei, you can do whatever they can do. That would have been interesting and engaging, and instead they started the movie with this big, long, slow scroll, and then it was like slow moving space stuff, and I have to admit, when I first started watching it, I was like, and my son like nudged me awake. So yeah, the problem was they had so much to tell, crammed into such a small thing of a single movie, and then they got a director who is perfect at even smaller stories and stuff, and that's what failed. If they got someone like James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy, and they did a kind of Guardians of the Galaxy over the top version of the Eternals, and they started with that scene I mentioned, Kingo, his private jet flying through, being like, yeah, I'm Kingo, I've been here for millions of years now, I'm a Bollywood star. And they just went on like that. They didn't have the they didn't have the flashbacks, they didn't have everything set in the past, they just told the modern story and then kind of like explained it. They always say in storytelling that you should show, not tell. But I think in a film like The Eternals, if you'd have made it like a modern action story and focused on like 3 or 4 of the Eternals and had the other ones in the background, but you just name check them or whatever, and then you just reference the things that went in the past instead of having long, slow flashbacks about it, I think it could have been a really fun, really concise movie that did a lot. Yeah. So that's really my thoughts on it. I thought it was kind of a wasted opportunity. But that's it. I mean, they're going to make more Eternals movies. They've already set up the Black Knight with that guy from Game of Thrones. What's his name? Kit, or I don't even remember what his name is. But it had a lot of work to do, and it's done it, and it's out there. It's kind of like The Incredible Hulk, which is the Marvel movie no one talks about. It's like it does exist, and it laid some of the groundwork. So we're going to be moving on, and I think people would have learned some of the lessons from this, which are that if you're going to do intimate storytelling, you need to give it time. And if you're going to have a lot of characters, you need to give them time and space. You can't just cram things together. That's what the DC people tried to do, and that's why it failed so badly. So anyway, it's my thoughts on the Eternals. Let me know. I mean, did you enjoy it? Did you like it? Did you go to the cinema to see it? Do you think I'm talking out of my arse? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be back very soon with another video. Ciao! I'm Roland Hume. I've sold 67,000 copies of my books. If you want to find out how I did it, I've got a link right here you can click. And otherwise, don't forget to subscribe. I've got more videos coming soon. Thank you.